The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on the Canna Connect Show belong solely to the individuals and do not reflect those of Canna Connect and its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. Canna Connect does not promote or facilitate any activity that violates state or federal regulations. Everything you hear here is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal advice, it is not financial guidance, and it's definitely not medical direction. Seriously, don't take our word for it. Even if someone on the mic sounds like they know what they're talking about, and they're probably crazy smart too. Regardless of how legit our guests may be, you should always do your own homework, consult with your attorney, and understand the risk you're taking before you do anything when it comes to cannabis. Our intention is to keep it real. If you've got a problem with anything we've said, take us to court.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect Show. I'm your host, Stephen Eigenmann, and today we are joined by Mark Carlson of the John Roberts Company. Mark, great to have you on the show.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's get into it. Since coming across John Roberts or the John Roberts Company at Legacy Cup Industry Night in 2023,
Right.
has allowed for, Luke likes to say, ice cream just fits into the cracks, right? Minnesota has, without going too much beyond what's reasonable, Minnesota has allowed for a lot of space within cannabis. One of the reasons that brought us together was the packaging side of hemp beverage, and we have a really robust hemp beverage market here. But then also since fall of 2023, when we met your team members, the adult use industry has been slowly coming online month by month, quarter by quarter,
Right.
year by year. So not every state has all of the opportunity that Minnesota has. And Minnesota has been coming online and really seeing success with the cannabis industry at a time when a lot of the national cannabis industry, and if you think about the really large groups, the multi-state operators that, if you look at, that are publicly traded or traded on Canadian stock exchanges, pot stocks have not been doing well in the years that Minnesota's cannabis industry has been online. However, Minnesota's cannabis industry has been growing, and small business entrepreneurs have been able to, a lot of them have been able to figure it out and grow their companies and create, I don't want to put numbers on them because not every company is $1 million company, but they're out there.
It has really been exciting for us. We talk about meeting in 2023. I have believed in the cannabis world for a long time, and it has to do with a previous life that I've had. When I was, prior to the John Roberts Company, I worked for Heidelberg,
Okay.
USA. And Heidelberg is the world's largest manufacturer of printing presses.
Right.
So I had a long career there, 34 years, and I was started in sales. I met the folks at the John Roberts Company when I was a young salesperson.
Okay.
And got to be good friends with the owners.
Because the John Roberts Company utilized in some areas of the operation Heidelberg printing presses.
Yes, we've been through. You've toured with your team, the
Yeah.
John Roberts Company, and so they were a great client of Heidelberg's and still are to this day. And so it was many years developing a relationship with everybody at the John Roberts Company, but the ownership.
Okay.
And my career started in sales. I got into sales management, and then my territory continued to evolve.
Okay.
And it became basically everything west of the Mississippi River.
Okay.
So I was exposed to what was happening in Colorado.
I see.
In the early launch of the cannabis industry, and then saw it happen in Oregon, saw it happen in Washington, saw California regulate it. So I saw the packaging element of it in those early adapting states.
Right. It's required. Compliant packaging is required in this industry.
Absolutely. And it became a $1 billion industry rapidly.
Wow.
And then when Minnesota started to embrace it, I wanted to be on that leading edge of the packaging providers for our state.
Now, when you were seeing this out west, was this through the lens of Heidelberg?
This was through the lens of Heidelberg. I was selling Heidelberg printing presses to packaging companies that were developing
Yeah.
cannabis as their customers.
And specializing in serving the cannabis industry.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, Oregon, California, Washington State. I mean, that whole edge of the West, and then inwards, Colorado, Montana's been online. Yeah, and I like you sharing that. And what stands out to you, whether it's the colors or the creativity, in your exposure with having conversations with cannabis industry entrepreneurs, like what stands out to you beyond just other customers that you serve?
Well, the creativeness, I guess I would say, there's very little limitations, and now it's a competitive environment, and packaging, I believe, plays a key role in being able to present your brand and being able to differentiate your brand. And uh,
How can John Roberts right now serve cannabis entrepreneurs and the products that they make?
well, number one, we have a very open mind to doing business with the cannabis entrepreneurs, and we are unique. I really believe we're very unique in that in the print industry over the last decade or two, people have kind of found a niche and kind of a specialization
Sure.
in what they provide. At John Roberts, we really offer so much. It's really A to Z, all under one roof,
Yeah.
which is unique. The John Roberts Company is a family-owned business.
Great.
It is now led by the granddaughter of the founder. She is our CEO and president and my boss.
Sure.
And that's what got me to the John Roberts Company. They approached me about coming on board, and
So you've known them for generations.
generations.
Really?
I've known my boss since she was a little girl, and so they asked me to leave a career of 34 years and come head up the sales when she was being elevated to being the president.
Okay.
So it was intriguing to me. I would not have left a successful career to go to work for just anybody.
Yeah.
But I knew them like family.
Right.
And I believed in the culture at the John Roberts Company, and I've had an opportunity to get into about every printing company from here to Hawaii, and what John Roberts offered was very interesting.
Okay.
It also got me out of hotel rooms and airports, and I was able to sleep in my own bed, which most of the time my family was okay with. But
So even though you were serving the Western hemisphere or the Western side of the nation, you've always been based here, is that right?
I've managed to have my entire career here in the Twin Cities. So I was fortunate to have a wife that caught everything and essentially raised our family while I went out and made a living.
Yeah.
And as I explained, it just started to get larger, the geography.
Right.
So I was traveling quite.
Territory didn't start to be the whole western half of the country.
It was a nice little 7-state region here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Then we took on the mountain states and then the West Coast.
Great. And let's go back. We've touched on family, we've touched on Minnesota. Let's give folks a little bit more background on who Mark Carlson is and all the way from prior to the University of Minnesota. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the Chicago area,
Okay.
in a suburb just north of Chicago called Deerfield.
Okay.
And I was an athlete. I played football, hockey, and baseball. And I was blessed to play for some people that really developed my life. We had a head coach who was a father figure and a real mentor to me. I was very fortunate. Uh, in my 3 years of varsity football, we were 34-3.
Wow.
And my senior year, we won the state championship in Illinois.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and that was a great team experience.
What did that feel like that night as it ended, as a senior?
We were 13-0, and it was the second year of the Illinois High School Association playoffs, and it was just a culmination of everybody bonding together, sacrificing together, working for one goal, and accomplishing that goal was really special. It's something that we have our whole life, and I'm getting ready to go back to a high school reunion this next summer, and the team will all be together again, and it's a very special thing.
Wow. And you worked really hard to get to that place.
Well, I learned, I grew up a lot, and you learn what you have to do to be successful. And I was fortunate to have a mentor like first my father, and then our coach, Coach Adams, and really learned about leadership.
Yeah.
Learned about sacrifice and what it took to bring everybody together. I was the quarterback. So as quarterbacks get too much attention and too much blame when things don't go well.
Yeah, shared.
But
goes both ways.
By virtue of winning the state championship, I was recognized as the player of the year in Illinois.
Wow.
And recruited by 75 plus schools.
Wow.
And it was
lots of letters in the mail back then.
Lots of letters in the mail, and still are today. But Minnesota, I wanted to play in the Big Ten because my father was a big part of my life and a huge supporter, and I wanted him to experience that and be able to go to the games.
Regionally.
Yep. So the University of Minnesota was recruiting me, and at the time, their quarterback was Tony Dungy.
Oh, wow.
And Tony was a big influence on my life. He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Wow.
We were roommates when I was a freshman.
Really?
And to this day, still good friends. But he became a mentor of mine. And for those folks that don't know Tony, he's an amazing human being. And he was the first African-American head football coach to win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
He coached the Buccaneers.
He did.
Yep.
And then the Colts, and won the Super Bowl against the Chicago Bears.
Oh, that's right.
When he was with the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning.
Yes. Wow.
So he was a big influence on me to come to the Twin Cities and play for the University of Minnesota.
Wow. You were his understudy at the time.
I was, and he influenced me quite a bit.
Okay. But one thing I didn't know about you is you were also a catcher.
I played baseball. I played two sports at the U, and the U had a great baseball program.
Okay.
A big winning program. There was a legendary coach there by the name of Chief Siebert. I played for him for 3 years.
And I know Siebert as the name that the field is named after.
Right.
Right.
Chief passed away my junior year, and so I had a new coach my senior year. But on the football side of things, we had a coaching change after my junior year.
You did.
And the new coaching staff came in, and my quarterback coach was a young up-and-coming coach by the name of Mike Shanahan.
Wow.
Who went on to much bigger and better things. But he also was a big influence in my life.
Hey everybody, Stephen with Canna Connect, taking a quick minute to shout out today's sponsor, CEE. That is the Center for Energy and Environment. If you're not familiar with CEE, they're your one-stop shop for all lighting rebates. If you are in XL Energy territory and you're a micro business, CEE is somebody that you need to talk to. Give Brad a call, give Tony a call, go online, one-stop shop, LED lighting rebates. They'll help take care of up to 60% of the costs associated with your grow and your build-out with the lighting. Really nice people, great people to work with, huge sponsors of Canna Connect, and give them a shout. That's CEE, Center for Energy and Environment. They talk about coaching trees, especially in college football, because there's so many coaches involved. How would you describe, in your experience, the trunk, the branches, and how you've watched even Coach Dungy, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's really amazing. You feel old at times because, you know, they launched their professional coaching career and then hired a lot of understudies that have gone on to be head coaches. And heck, Mike Shanahan's son Kyle is now
running things
knocking it dead
Yeah.
for the 49ers. So
And you more and more I'm noticing sons of coaches, Wade Phillips' son, for example. There's a certain, I mean, the amount of time that these coaches spend on their craft, at their job, trying to find that differentiator, right? It comes down to a game of inches, is what they say. Right?
there's so much to be learned from athletics, coaching, playing, as it relates to life, as it relates to business.
Okay.
And really, I was fortunate to go on and play 1 year professional football, and realized there wasn't a great future for a 6 foot tall, slow quarterback. So eventually, I wanted to say that, you know, I married my high school sweetheart after college.
Wow.
And we immediately had a family. So I had to go find a career path other than a professional football.
Yeah, not everyone's. You did make it to the league. Not everyone makes it to the league.
Well, it wasn't the league. It was a different league.
Sure.
But
And
it was the Chicago Fire, which got us back to Chicago
Cool.
for a year.
Cool.
And then my dad was in printing, and he was a big influence in my life. So I gravitated toward printing and got into the printing equipment side of things.
What was hot as you entered that industry from a career
So
standpoint?
much has changed, Stephen.
I
So
can only
much has
imagine.
changed.
I can only imagine.
So it was a lot more analog, a lot more manual things. So
But
things
from a magazine perspective, how would they build a magazine then versus how you're building magazines?
similarly,
Okay.
but magazines were a lot thicker then than they are today. So advertisement and, you know, just the internet has changed everything.
Wow.
But
Access to the information is just completely different.
so I guess I launched a business career and got into the sales side of things.
Okay.
Went to work for Heidelberg, had a great mentor at Heidelberg.
Wow.
So I've really been blessed with some first-class people that I've been able to develop and share my life with. And I've taken bits and pieces from everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that there's really some common denominators in leadership.
Okay.
And that is, you know, you've got to have the trust of the people. You've got to have empathy. You've got to inspire. You've got to think big.
Yeah.
And if your folks succeed, you succeed. If clients succeed, you succeed. So it really, it takes everybody to pull together and communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Because a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, absolutely. So had a long career with Heidelberg selling printing equipment, which was wonderful. Got a chance to meet so many wonderful people.
How have you passed along and mentored those younger than you, in a sense, those beyond.
I look at it that I want to pass along everything that I can that I've learned over the years through the blessings that I've had with meeting people.
Yeah.
But it work hand in hand with salespeople, try to inspire them
Yeah.
to go out and be successful. And by taking care of the clients, you're going to be successful. You've got to earn trust. You've got to be there. You got to be consistent, reliable.
Yes.
Trust
is number one.
Trust is number one. If you don't have trust, you've got nothing. And so that brings me to the John Roberts Company. I headed up the sales.
Yeah. When did you start with the John Roberts?
In 2018.
Okay.
So it was a big transition for me I would go sell a printing press. We'd put it in, and I would go find the next person to sell the printing.
Yeah.
I never followed through to see exactly what was being produced on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And you're only going to sell them a couple printing presses.
We have a Heidelberg press that's 20 years old right now. So yeah. And the industry has changed quite a bit, but
I just bring that up because it's a much larger purchase.
It's a capital equipment. It's Heidelberg is a German company. The craftsmanship is second to none, lasts forever, but the technology has evolved to make it faster, better, more consistent. And that's what's replacing those older machines.
Okay. But as you were getting to, in a sense, like now you have more repeat customers because they're working with John Roberts on a continual basis.
So the John Roberts Company is 75 years old this year.
Yes, congratulations.
And third generation, and we have grown over the years by exceeding customers' expectations and building on our customer relationships and customer base. We have customers today that we had when we started in 1951. But we're blessed here in the Twin Cities to have a bunch of Fortune 100 companies that we've grown with and supported.
Yeah. And you're in Coon Rapids?
We are just north of downtown, 12 miles right off the 610 and East River Road, right on the way to the Anoka dispensary.
Yeah. The first municipally owned dispensary in Minnesota. Yeah.
They're doing a great job up there. We're producing a high-end premium box for the 420 launch of theirs.
Nice.
So yeah, we've gotten to know those folks. And so the John Roberts Company, we really under one roof do A to Z. We have 220 employees.
Wow. You have your own post office?
We have our postal clerk that clears mail right out of our facility. But at our core, we're a commercial printer.
Okay.
So in the big scheme of things, we're a small to medium-sized business.
Okay.
And we're taking the customer service element and the team selling element to the packaging side of our business. So we're able to respond quickly to projects, turn things quickly. You don't have to get in line and wait months for a product.
Okay. Right.
And we're vested in our customer success. And as this cannabis industry grows, we know it'll be small and infrequent at times.
Yeah.
But as it grows, we hope to be a great resource for them.
Yeah, it will be small until it's not.
Right.
But I appreciate John Roberts and the John Roberts Company for getting in early and showing up and supporting the industry in a multitude of ways. And it ultimately lends itself to opportunities like the one you're talking about around 420 with Anoka, because whether it's you sitting in this chair or somebody up from my team, it's about showing up.
It is, and I had a peek behind the curtain of what was going on in other states and wanted to be really on the forefront of it here in Minnesota.
Yes.
And it's really been rewarding to see people now
Yeah.
really launching and
Selling, getting off the ground.
You mentioned the THC hemp beverage side of our business. It is just exploded. It is so big,
Wow.
and
There's real demand for these types of products out there.
There are, and obviously the federal government's got to, pull the regulations together.
Yep.
So this can continue to thrive.
Right.
Um,
I actually think, we haven't talked in a couple months about this particular thing, but I could see the federal government taking a sledgehammer to all hemp and cannabis, knocking it out, descheduling marijuana as a whole. And then you're able to get around, or not even have to worry about getting around, producing alcohol and THC products in the
Right.
same building. Because as it stands come November, it will not be possible to create a marijuana product and an alcoholic product like a beer in the same room. So we have to get rid of marijuana. That's the problem, is that
Interesting.
it's scheduled.
Yeah.
If it were no longer scheduled and it was just capped around 5 or 10 inside of traditional stores and 10 or more at dispensaries, then we're limiting the sales aspect, but not the production and the manufacturing, not the taxation, not the issues that stop it from happening in the first place. We've shown in Minnesota that there's an appetite for this product, whether gummies or beverages, in traditional retail outlets.
Right.
But come November, if nothing changes, it gets really unclear.
I'm optimistic things will get taken care of before then. We've got some great leaders in this state,
Yeah.
in the microbreweries that, have transitioned to these products.
And yeah, our politicians are fighting for sensible regulation at the Capitol.
And we do a good job in Minnesota regulating. I think the other states have got to.
Yeah. Our neighbors to the east
Yes.
have a different thing going on.
They sure do. But it's exciting being a part of a evolving industry.
Yes.
And it's going to be exciting to see where this goes.
Absolutely. If folks are interested in learning more about John Roberts and the John Roberts Company, where can they find more information?
Well, online, of course. We are in social media a lot, and we're on LinkedIn. Our website is www.johnroberts.com. People can reach out to me, Mark Carlson.
We'll put your email in the in the interview there.
And so I head up the packaging division right now, and we've got dedicated salespeople and customer service people for that.
Yes.
We have inside operations packaging people that help us navigate packaging versus commercial print. The family's been just great about investing in people and machines, so we're a legitimate packaging offering.
You guys are well equipped.
Yeah. And it's a never-ending battle. You always there's always new technology you got to keep up with.
The last thing I want to touch on with you is family. And, as I'm a new dad starting a family, I wanted to ask if there's any advice or lessons learned along the way. You're a father of 4, grandfather of 6. What can you share with me to help guide the next 34 years of life for me?
Oh my gosh. My wife and I have been together since high school. We have 4 adult children, 2 boys, 2 girls. We're so fortunate that everyone has seemed to move back to the Twin Cities. That's great. What's really great about it is that my grandkids are all within, 10 miles. So we see them all the time.
What does that feel like when you get to see your grandkids?
It's amazing to see how fast they're growing. I had a boss, a mentor, it said, if you want to see your family, make it fun. We put a pool in our backyard, and they're there all the time in the summer months. And and it's just so much fun to see them all grow up and become little people.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah,
Make it fun.
make it fun.
Yeah, and as much as possible, that's what we're attempting to do at Canna Connect. You know, we have lots of initiatives. We have events, we have media, we have products, education. But ultimately, when we're hosting an event, we do as much as we can to make it fun, to like your kids and your grandkids, so that multiple types of folks come out to our events and feel accepted. They feel invited, and that it has a low barrier to entry, right? We try to incentivize folks to enjoy Canna Connect and the events that we put on.
Stephen, I think you guys in your group do a great job. I've been at your events in Brainerd. I was at Earl Giles after the Lucky Leaf convention.
Thank you.
And you do have an eclectic group, and it was just so much fun to interact with people at different phases of this journey.
Yes. Yeah. The Brainerd one stands out. I appreciate John Roberts' support there. That was a great, I mean, despite the weather, you can hope for the best, right?
It's Minnesota, you know. It's Minnesota.
Yeah. Make sure to subscribe to the John Roberts Company. Follow them on both pages. Reach out to Mark Carlson on LinkedIn. He'll get you connected with his team. We highly recommend the John Roberts Company. They're a very professional, high-level organization. But in the grand scheme of things, they're a small to medium-sized business. And that's something that I've been reflecting on and realizing as we work with groups larger than ourselves. We're still not necessarily working with large companies. You know, maybe we're starting to with Comcast Business, for example, but that's a vertical of the Comcast umbrella.
Sure.
Working with John Roberts is a family-owned business. They've been around for 75 years, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Stephen, we look forward to being part of this whole venture and look forward to working with you and your team.
Amazing. Thanks for coming in, Mark.
Thank you.